Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Well, it looks like it's about ready to get a lot worse over in Russia and Ukraine and our relationship with that whole situation. Germany has announced that they are sending a whole company of their big fancy super duper, tanks over there, leopard tanks or whatever they're calling them. I'm sure I said wrong, but it's whatever. Poland is sending some over. The Netherlands is wanting to buy tanks from Germany just so that they can turn around and donate them to Ukraine. And the Biden administration just seems to be dead set on sending Abrams tanks over. There's been this debate going back and forth of whether or not we should send them. The Defense Department says we just shouldn't do it. It's just a logistical nightmare. I mean, there's a lot of logistics to maintaining and running an Abrams tank. It's kind of a big deal. They're also kind of special to us. We typically don't let those out of our hands. But the Biden administration says that they want to make it happen, and from what I've been reading, it's probably going to happen. We're looking at probably around 50 Abrams tanks. Of course, the Russians have already let us know that if we do this, if NATO does this, that this is a massive, massive escalation, and it's going to be crossing some serious lines. But, we might as well just cross them because it seems like the whole world's starting to come to an end here lately with the just barrage of stuff in the news. And, might as well just go out with a big bang, right? There's a frigate. In case you didn't know, there's a frigate, a Russian frigate, somewhere off the coast of the United States, East Coast. This thing is armed with hypersonic missiles, nuclear-tipped hypersonic missiles, according to the reports. Now, for those of you that don't know, and I suspect some of you that's grown up in the Cold War era, are more familiar with the standard Cold War era missiles where, and you've probably seen it in movies, that there's some type of warning system that if the Russians are preparing to launch a missile, our military finds out about it. We have satellites, and there's able to at least give some kind of warning. It may be 30 minutes, an hour, or something like that, but there's at least some kind of warning. Well, with these hypersonics, it's not going to be that way. These things move just blazing fast, 7, 10, 11 times the speed of sound. They will if one was to ever get launched, especially off the East Coast somewhere in the Atlantic, most likely it would hit its target before anyone even really knew about it because they move quite fast. And then there's another Russian spy ship apparently somewhere over by Hawaii. This kind of stuff, it's escalating rapidly, and the possibility of one little thing going wrong, or depending on how you look at it, one little thing just going by the script, there's a good chance that things are going to escalate. The Russians are, and I've said this from the beginning, regardless of what you think about them, they're putting the rest of the world in kind of a lose-lose situation where they're either going to win this their way or they're going to win it their way, and they're not going to lose. And it puts us in a pretty precarious situation. Here we are depleting our weapons by sending them over to Ukraine so that we can prop up our money laundering scheme going on there. It's absolutely ridiculous. And the real possibility of this kind of spiraling into some type of World War III conflict in the very near future, I think, is becoming much more likely. Today, the doomsday clock, you're familiar with that, especially, again, some of you Cold War era people like myself, you've heard about it. It moved to 90 seconds to midnight. That's the closest the doomsday clock has ever been, just indicating just how close we are to a real global doomsday scenario. And there's just a lot more than that. The whole monetary thing, the dollar, the crypto dollars and the digital stuff, it's just getting out of hand too. Last week or so we were talking about Saudi Arabia getting off of the US dollar for their oil trade. And well, now they're investigating and they've started a a central bank digital currency so that they can basically use their own digital money that's going to be tied in with bricks to trade money with, to trade oil with, which is just going to hurt the U.S. dollar even more. There's other things that came out just in the last day or so that they believe now that the Earth's core has flipped and is now rotating in a different direction. I'm not a scientist, and I don't even pretend to be one on TV, but this can't be good, and it seems like it's somehow probably related to the very real possibility that we will be experiencing a pole shift in the near future also. And when I say near, I'd say within the next 5 to 10 years, which is pretty near. And the amount of havoc that could ensue because of that. There's an asteroid apparently that's going to hit, or very closely could hit, the Earth in the next day and a half to 2 days. An artificial intelligent computer discovered this, and while it's not an Earth killer by any means, it would certainly probably hit with the power of a fairly large nuclear bomb. It appears to be about the size of a school bus, although the size just keeps varying back and forth. And you have to I will give them this, that it's got to be, if it is legitimately an asteroid flying around, it's got to be kind of hard to figure out exactly when it's going to hit and where it's going to hit. But depending on which source you look at, it could be a direct hit or very, very close within maybe just a few hundred to 1,000 or 2 meters from hitting this planet. So that's interesting. There's a lot of speculation of, are they doing this so that then it will, actually be some kind of nuke that goes off somewhere? I don't know, but we'll find out in a couple of days, because it's supposed to hit on January 26th. So we'll find that one out soon enough too. All kinds of other stuff in the news that just makes you feel all warm and fuzzy inside. Bill Gates, yes, the guy that, well, we probably shouldn't say too much about him here on YouTube. They don't like that kind of stuff. Anyways, he's predicting another big, massive health crisis. In fact, he says this one's going to be way worse. This next one coming up, it's going to be way worse than the past one. And most likely it's going to be man-made. Wow. I love it how they just tell us what they're doing. European Union has approved bug flour now in ingredients. So if you get something that was made in the European Union, some type of food over in Europe, it's quite possible here in the near future that it will have insect flour in it. Yeah, that's right, insect flour. The news that just keeps coming out, it's kind of scary when you think about it, but unfortunately it's all real. Or at least most of it is. It's real in the sense that it's being talked about, and it's real in the sense that that it gets people worked up. It's kind of like what I've said for the last 3 years about the whole health crisis. Honestly, it didn't really even matter whether it was a really bad disease going around or not. What matters really was how the people reacted to it, and if they believed it was a really bad disease. And that's kind of with the news. It honestly doesn't even matter if it's true or not. Do the people react to it and they believe that it is and they panic over it? Well, then that's just as bad if it was real anyways. Finding a lot of classified documents. I haven't checked my file cabinets and boxes or my garage behind my Corvette that I don't own. But apparently it's kind of all the rage now, because Biden has found a whole bunch, as you know. There's reports that several congressmen and senators have been rummaging around in their storage units, looking in just in case they might have any that they weren't sure about. And it came out today that Mike Pence, he has a bunch of it too, apparently, found a bunch of classified documents. This one puzzles me. Like, I don't know this for certain, but it was at least made to imply that the ones that they were making such a big noise about with Trump, that he kind of knew that he had them. It didn't sound too much like it was a surprise that, oh, what? You mean I have classified documents? Apparently from what I've heard, that he knew he had them and he declassified them and they were his. But how does one not know that you have a bunch of classified documents? I don't know how that works. I've I've never been a president or a vice president, but that just sounds a little sketchy to me that you just, I mean, you know, a few years later, you're going through stuff and you're like, oh my goodness, how did this box of top secret documents get in my garage? I mean, it's sitting here right by the, you know, nasty oil cans and the, you know, my pile of, you know, pieces of scrap lumber that I keep because I just know someday I'm going to use those. I don't know, folks. I could go on because it's a lot. I do, not every day, but a few times a week, I do little news briefs over on my Patreon channel where usually I'm not making a video necessarily. I'm just posting a lot of news. And today it was a lot. And I didn't even post everything that I could. And I'm not saying it was a lot of news. It was a lot of really, you know, serious news, things that are just more signs of the destabilization, more signs of really the collapse. And that's where we're at. And I think on one hand, it's, you know, there's a part of me that just throws my hands up and say, yeah, it's happening. Bring it on. Let it happen. Especially when I see the pictures and the videos and just more and more people that it's like, it's worse than Sodom and Gomorrah, folks. I mean, I wasn't at Sodom and Gomorrah, but I can only imagine how bad it was. And my grandfather used to say, and many others have said this too, that if the Lord doesn't come back soon, he's going to have to apologize to Sodom and Gomorrah. And I think we're kind of past that point. And when I look around and I see the wickedness in this world, the disgust, the filth, the degeneracy, the corrupt, evil, satanic vileness that's happening. And it's not just that it's happening, because there's always been that. It's that it's being praised and glorified and normalized and pushed upon children and really destroying innocence and purity. That's the part of me that says, bring on this collapse. Let it happen. Let the purge begin. I mean, there's another side of me that hopes that we have a little bit more time. Was talking to some friends today, and I said, you know, I don't consider myself to be the expert prepper or the most prepared person there is, but I will admit that I'm probably a lot more prepared than most. I've been doing this for a long time, and thankful and blessed that I was able to kind of see things coming before most did, and for several years now I've been getting ready. But there's still a side of me that says, man, I'm just not ready enough. You know, there's a lot of projects that I haven't gotten done yet. And what if I can't get them done? You know, what if it all collapses and I can't get the stuff that I need to finish those projects? People are constantly asking about, have I hooked up some kind of hydro generator into this creek? And that is a plan of mine because it runs really well and there's several good spots. I just haven't done it yet. And it's a possibility that I'll never get it done because maybe the collapse will happen and I won't get it done. So I worry about that, but I try to remind myself that I can't worry about those things too much because what's going to happen is going to happen. It is what it is, folks. We've known about this for a long time, especially those of you that have been reading in your Bible. I saw someone say something online, and I can't verify if this is true or not, so I'm just repeating, I guess you could say, a rumor. But according to their studying of the Bible, they said that they believe that we are living in a time period now that was talked more about in the Bible than even the life of Jesus, Yeshua himself. That there's more talked about in the Bible, more scriptures talking about the time period that we live in currently right now, if you believe that we are in those end time periods, than there are scriptures talking about, you know, the Son of God. So that's interesting. We have to just keep moving forward. And while we're on the brink of war and we're on the brink of collapse, we're on the brink of, you know, having no money and no electricity and being looked upon as criminals because, you know, we have a certain kind of brace on our rifle or, you know, some other ridiculousness. Our founding fathers, they were considered outlaws and criminals too. And so I guess if that's what I'm going to be considered, I'm in good company. And I know that and feel very confident that my heart is where it needs to be in relationship to the Father and His Son. I mean, sure, we can do better. We can all do better. And so I keep trying to do that every day. But I know I'm in a good place. And so the best that we can do, I guess, is to get ourselves in the best place we can be, if that makes any sense. And just be prepared. Brace yourself for the storm, because it's happening. It's already happening. It's not a storm that's coming, folks. It's a storm that's here. I mean, we haven't hit the real high end, real bad parts, the intense parts of the storm, but it's happening already. And it's time to really get ready and buckle down. Get yourself toughened up. Get ready for it, because I don't think we have too much longer until the intense part of the storm really starts hitting, folks. It's time to get your houses in order. Prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.